Have you ever felt like your brain won't shut up? Like there's a nonstop radio playing in your head, blaring out worries, to-do lists, and random thoughts? If so, you're not alone. This constant mental chatter is something almost everyone experiences, but few know how to control. It can leave us feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and unable to enjoy the simple moments in life. Imagine trying to relax after a long day, but your mind keeps replaying that awkward conversation you had at work. Or picture yourself lying in bed, exhausted, but unable to sleep because your thoughts are buzzing about everything you need to do tomorrow. This is the reality for many of us, and it can be incredibly frustrating. But what if I told you there's a way to turn down the volume on this mental noise? A way to find some peace and quiet in your own head? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. We'll dive into practical, easy-to-use techniques that can help you break free from overthinking and quiet your mind. Now, you might be thinking, so what if my mind is chatty? Isn't that just part of being human? Well, yes and no. While it's normal to have thoughts, when they become excessive, it can really take a toll on our well-being. Let's talk about what happens when we don't learn to quiet our minds. First off, it can seriously mess with our sleep. Have you ever lain awake at night, your thoughts racing, unable to drift off no matter how tired you are? That's your mind chatter in action, and it can lead to insomnia and all the problems that come with not getting enough rest. But it's not just about sleep. A noisy mind can make it hard to focus during the day too. You might find yourself zoning out during important conversations or struggling to concentrate on your work. This can affect your performance at your job, your studies, or even in your personal relationships. And let's not forget about stress. When your mind is constantly churning, it's like you're always in a state of high alert. This can lead to chronic stress, which we now know is linked to all sorts of health problems, from headaches and digestive issues to more serious conditions like heart disease. Perhaps most importantly, an overactive mind can rob us of our ability to enjoy the present moment. How often have you missed out on the beauty of a sunset, the taste of a delicious meal, or the joy of spending time with loved ones because you were too caught up in your thoughts? When we're always living in our heads, we miss out on actually living our lives. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. When we learn to calm our thoughts, amazing things start to happen. We can think more clearly, making better decisions, and solving problems more easily. We feel more relaxed, which not only feels good, but is great for our overall health. And we're able to connect more deeply with ourselves and others, leading to more satisfying relationships and a greater sense of belonging. Before we dive into how to quiet your mind, let's take a moment to understand what mind chatter actually is. You see, mind chatter isn't just one thing. It's a whole mix of different mental activities that create that constant buzz in our heads. Think of it like this. Your mind is like a radio that's always on. Sometimes it's playing music, those random songs that get stuck in your head. Sometimes it's broadcasting the news, your worries and concerns, and sometimes it's running commercials. Those repetitive thoughts that try to convince you to do or buy something. And just like a real radio, it can be hard to find the off switch. Worries about the future. What if I mess up my presentation tomorrow? Regrets about the past. I can't believe I said that. How embarrassing. Self-criticism. I'm not good enough. I'll never be able to do this. To-do lists. I need to buy groceries, call mom, finish that report. Random thoughts. I wonder what my dog does all day when I'm not home. All of these thoughts jumble together, creating that constant stream of mental noise we call mind chatter. It's like having a chatty friend who never stops talking, even when you're trying to focus or relax. Now, some level of internal dialogue is normal and even helpful. It's how we process information, make decisions, and understand our experiences. The problem comes when this chatter becomes excessive or negative, drowning out our ability to be present and enjoy life. It's also worth noting that mind chatter often gets louder when we're stressed, anxious, or facing uncertainty. It's our brain's way of trying to problem solve or prepare for potential threats. But in our modern world, where we're constantly bombarded with information and stimuli, our minds can go into overdrive, churning out thoughts at a mile a minute. The good news is, just like you can learn to tune out background noise in a busy cafe, you can learn to manage your mind chatter. It's not about eliminating thoughts entirely. That's not possible or even desirable. Instead, it's about changing your relationship with your thoughts so they don't control you. In the next sections, we'll explore practical techniques to help you do just that. We'll start with the foundation of all mind-quieting practices, awareness. By learning to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them, you'll take the first step towards a calmer, more peaceful mind. Remember, quieting your mind is a skill. Like any skill, it takes practice. But with time and patience, you can learn to turn down the volume on your mental chatter and enjoy more peace and clarity in your daily life. So let's dive in and discover how to break free from overthinking and find a quiet space within yourself. Now that we understand what mind chatter is and why it's important to manage it, let's dive into our first key strategy for quieting the mind, awareness. This might sound too simple to be effective, but trust me, it's the foundation of all mind-quieting practices. So, what do we mean by awareness? Simply put, it's the practice of noticing your thoughts without getting caught up in them. It's like stepping back and becoming an observer of your own mind. This might sound a bit strange at first. After all, aren't we always aware of our thoughts? Well, not exactly. Most of the time, we're so immersed in our thoughts that we don't even realize we're thinking. It's like being so engrossed in a movie that you forget you're sitting in a theater. Our thoughts feel like reality rather than just mental activity. But when we practice awareness, we learn to see our thoughts for what they are, just thoughts, not facts or commands we have to obey. Here's why awareness is so powerful. When you can observe your thoughts without immediately reacting to them or getting swept away by them, you create a space between stimulus and response. In this space, you have the power to choose how you want to respond, rather than just reacting on autopilot. Let's say, for example, that you're about to give a presentation at work. Without awareness, your mind might start racing. I'm going to mess this up. Everyone will think I'm incompetent. I'll probably get fired. And before you know it, you're in a full-blown anxiety spiral. But with awareness, you might notice these thoughts and be able to say to yourself, I'm having anxious thoughts about the presentation. Just this simple act of noticing can often take some of the power out of the thoughts. You might then be able to remind yourself, these are just thoughts, not facts. I've prepared well, and I'll do my best. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to settle yourself. Now, instead of trying to control or change your thoughts, just notice them. Imagine your thoughts are like clouds passing across the sky of your mind. As each thought appears, try to label it. You might say to yourself, planning thought or worry thought or memory. Don't judge the thoughts or try to push them away. Just notice them and let them pass. If you find yourself getting caught up in a thought, that's okay. Just notice that it happened and gently bring your attention back to observing. Try this for just a few minutes at first. You might be surprised at how many thoughts pop up in such a short time. That's totally normal. The goal isn't to have no thoughts. That's impossible. The goal is simply to notice your thoughts without getting carried away by them. As you practice this, you might start to notice patterns in your thinking. Maybe you'll realize that you tend to worry a lot about things you can't control, or that you're often replaying past conversations in your head. This kind of self-knowledge can be incredibly valuable. Once you're aware of your thought patterns, you can start to make conscious choices about which thoughts to engage with and which to let go. Remember, developing awareness is like building a muscle. At first, it might feel challenging or even a bit uncomfortable. You might only be able to do it for a minute or two at a time. But with practice, it gets easier. You'll start to catch yourself more quickly when you're getting caught up in mind chatter, and you'll find it easier to step back and observe. As you develop this skill, you might notice some interesting changes. You might find that some of your anxious thoughts lose their grip on you. You might discover moments of unexpected peace in your day. And you might start to feel more in control of your mental state rather than feeling at the mercy of your thoughts. Awareness is just the first step in quieting your mind, but it's a crucial one. It's like learning to hear the music of your mind rather than just being swept along by it. In the next section, We'll build on this foundation and explore a powerful tool for calming both your mind and body: breathing techniques. Now that we've explored the power of awareness, let's move on to our second key strategy for quieting the mind: breathing techniques. You might be thinking, breathing? I do that all day, every day. How can it help quiet my mind? Well, you're in for a pleasant surprise. While it's true that we breathe automatically, most of us don't breathe in a way that fully supports our mental and physical well-being. When we're stressed or our minds are racing, our breathing often becomes shallow and rapid. This type of breathing actually signals to our body that we're in danger, kicking our stress response into high gear and making our mind chatter even louder. But here's the good news. By changing the way we breathe, we can send a powerful message of calm to both our body and our mind. Deep, slow breathing activates our parasympathetic nervous system, often called the rest and digest system. This helps to lower our heart rate, reduce muscle tension, and yes, quiet our busy minds. Let's explore a simple but effective breathing technique that you can use anytime, anywhere to help calm your mind. This technique is often called the relaxing breath, and for good reason. It's designed to help you relax quickly and effectively. Here's how to do it. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Place the tip of your tongue against the ridge behind your upper front teeth. Keep it there throughout the exercise. Exhale completely through your mouth, making a whoosh sound. Close your mouth and inhale quietly through your nose to a mental count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale completely through your mouth, making a whoosh sound to a count of 8. This is one breath cycle. Repeat the cycle 3 more times for a total of 4 breaths. The exact numbers aren't as important as the ratio. The point is to make your exhale longer than your inhale, which helps to trigger the relaxation response in your body. At first, this might feel a bit uncomfortable or unnatural. That's okay. Like any new skill, it takes practice. Start by doing this exercise twice a day. You might do it first thing in the morning to start your day on a calm note, and then again in the evening to help you unwind. As you practice, you might notice some interesting effects. Many people find that this breathing technique helps to clear their mind almost immediately. It's like pressing a reset button on your mental state. You might feel a sense of physical relaxation spreading through your body. And you might find that those racing thoughts slow down, giving you a moment of mental quiet. But the 4-7-8 breath is just one of many breathing techniques you can use to quiet your mind. Here's another simple one you can try. This technique is used by everyone from athletes to Navy SEALs to manage stress and improve focus. Here's how to do it. Sit comfortably with your back straight. Slowly exhale all the air from your lungs. Inhale slowly through your nose to a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Repeat this cycle for at least 4 rounds, or until you feel calm. The beauty of box breathing is its simplicity. You can do it anytime, anywhere. Waiting in line at the grocery store? Do a few rounds of box breathing. Feeling overwhelmed at work? Take a minute for some box breathing. Can't sleep because your mind won't stop racing? Box breathing can help with that too. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly does breathing help with mind chatter? Well, there are a few ways. It gives your mind something to focus on. When you're concentrating on your breath, it's harder for your mind to get caught up in worries or random thoughts. It triggers physical relaxation. As your body relaxes, your mind tends to follow suit. It's hard to be mentally tense when your body is relaxed. It increases oxygen flow to your brain. Deep breathing increases the oxygen supply to your brain, which can help improve clarity and reduce mental fatigue. It creates a pause. Focused breathing creates a pause in your day, giving you a chance to step back from your thoughts and reset. Remember, the goal isn't to completely eliminate thoughts. That's not possible or even desirable. The goal is to create a sense of calm and spaciousness in your mind so that the thoughts don't feel so overwhelming. As you practice these breathing techniques, try to approach them with curiosity rather than expectation. Notice how your body feels before and after. Pay attention to any changes in your mental state. And remember, like any skill, the benefits of these techniques grow with practice. Incorporating breathing exercises into your daily routine can be a powerful way to manage mind chatter and create moments of mental quiet throughout your day. In our next section, we'll explore another key strategy for quieting the mind: mindfulness. We'll look at what mindfulness really means. Hint, it's not about emptying your mind, and how you can use it to cultivate a sense of inner peace, even in the midst of a busy life. Now that we've explored awareness and breathing techniques, let's dive into our third key strategy for quieting the mind: mindfulness. You've probably heard this term before. It's become quite popular in recent years. But what does it really mean, and how can it help us manage our mind chatter? At its core, mindfulness is about being fully present in the moment, without judgment. It's about experiencing life as it unfolds, rather than getting lost in thoughts about the past or future. This might sound simple, but in our fast-paced, technology-driven world, it's actually quite a challenge. Think about it. How often are you truly present in what you're doing? When you're eating, are you savoring each bite, or are you scrolling through your phone? When you're in a conversation, are you fully listening, or is your mind wandering to your to-do list? Mindfulness is about bringing our attention back to the here and now. Here's why mindfulness is so powerful for quieting the mind. When we're fully engaged in the present moment, there's less room for mind chatter. It's like turning up the volume on your actual experience and turning down the volume on your thoughts. Pick up an object near you. It could be a pen, a cup, or even your phone. Now, really look at this object as if you're seeing it for the first time. Notice its color, its texture, its weight in your hand. If your mind starts to wander, and it probably will, gently bring your attention back to the object. Spend about a minute really exploring this object with your senses. How did that feel? Did you notice anything about the object that you hadn't before? Did you find your mind wandering? That's completely normal. The practice of mindfulness isn't about never having wandering thoughts. It's about noticing when your mind has wandered and gently bringing it back. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but how does looking at a pen help me deal with my racing thoughts? Well, this simple exercise is training your brain to focus on the present moment. The more you practice this kind of focused attention, the easier it becomes to stay present in other areas of your life. But mindfulness isn't just about focusing on objects. You can bring mindfulness to any activity in your day. Here are a few ways to incorporate mindfulness into your daily routine. Mindful eating. The next time you have a meal, try to really focus on the experience of eating. Notice the flavors, textures, and smells of your food. Chew slowly and savor each bite. Mindful walking. When you're walking, even if it's just from your car to your office, pay attention to the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Notice the movement of your body, the air on your skin, the sights and sounds around you. Mindful listening. In your next conversation, try to give the other person your full attention. Really listen to what they're saying, without planning your response or letting your mind wander. Mindful breathing. Take a few moments throughout your day to focus on your breath. You don't need to change your breathing. Just notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. As you practice mindfulness, you might notice some interesting changes. You might find that you're better able to catch yourself when you start to get lost in worry or rumination. You might discover moments of unexpected joy in simple experiences that you used to overlook. And you might find that your mind feels clearer and calmer overall. Remember, mindfulness is a skill that takes practice. Don't get discouraged if you find your mind wandering constantly at first. That's totally normal. The key is to keep gently bringing your attention back to the present moment, without judging yourself for getting distracted. By cultivating mindfulness, we create little pockets of peace throughout our day. These moments of presence can be a powerful antidote to the constant chatter of our minds, helping us to find calm even in the midst of a busy life. As we continue our journey to quiet the mind, let's explore our fourth key strategy: changing thought patterns. This is where we start to really tackle those persistent negative thoughts that contribute to our mind chatter. You see, our minds have a tendency to fall into habitual patterns of thinking. These patterns often develop over years, shaped by our experiences, beliefs, and the messages we've received from others. Some of these thought patterns are helpful, but many are not. They can lead us into spirals of worry, self-doubt, or negativity that fuel our mind chatter. The good news is that we can change these patterns. Our brains are incredibly adaptable. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. With practice and patience, we can actually rewire our brains to think in more helpful ways. Catastrophizing. Always imagining the worst-case scenario. If I make a mistake at work, I'll get fired and end up homeless. All or nothing thinking. Seeing things in black and white with no middle ground. If I'm not perfect, I'm a total failure. Overgeneralization. Taking one negative event and seeing it as a never-ending pattern. I got rejected for this job. I'll never find a job I like. Negative self-talk. Constantly criticizing yourself. I'm so stupid. I can't do anything right. Should statements. Putting unreasonable demands on yourself or others. I should always be productive. I should never make mistakes. Do any of these sound familiar? Most of us engage in these types of thinking at least some of the time. The first step in changing these patterns is to become aware of them. This is where the awareness practice we discussed earlier comes in handy. Once you've identified a negative thought pattern, the next step is to challenge it. Here's a simple process you can use. Notice the thought, I made a mistake on this project. I'm such an idiot. Question the thought. Is this really true? Am I really an idiot because I made one mistake? Look for evidence. What evidence do I have that this thought is true? What evidence do I have that it's not true? Consider alternative perspectives. How might someone else view this situation? What would I say to a friend who made this mistake? Reframe the thought. I made a mistake, but that doesn't define me. Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. What can I learn from this? This process might feel awkward or artificial at first, but with practice, it becomes more natural. You're essentially teaching your brain a new way of responding to situations. Here's another powerful technique for changing thought patterns: gratitude practice. Gratitude might seem unrelated to quieting your mind, but it can actually be a powerful tool for shifting your mental state. When we focus on what we're grateful for, even small things, it becomes harder for negative thoughts to take center stage. Try this. Each day, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. It could be as simple as a good cup of coffee or a kind word from a friend. Over time, this practice can help to retrain your brain to notice the positive aspects of your life, rather than always focusing on the negative. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about creating a more balanced perspective. Another technique for changing thought patterns is called cognitive restructuring. This involves identifying and challenging distorted thoughts. Here's how it works. Identify the situation. I have to give a presentation at work next week. Notice your automatic thoughts. I'm going to mess up and everyone will think I'm incompetent. Identify the emotion, anxiety, fear. Challenge the thought. Is this realistic? Have I given successful presentations before? What's the worst that could realistically happen? Create a balanced thought. Presentations can be challenging, but I've prepared well and done this successfully before. Even if I make a small mistake, it's not the end of the world. By consistently challenging and reframing our thoughts in this way, we can gradually change our habitual thought patterns. This doesn't mean we'll never have negative thoughts. That's not realistic or even desirable. The goal is to create a more balanced inner dialogue where negative thoughts don't dominate. Remember, changing thought patterns takes time and practice. Be patient with yourself. It's not about never having negative thoughts. It's about learning to respond to those thoughts in a more helpful way. As you work on changing your thought patterns, you might notice that your mind chatter starts to change. Instead of a constant stream of worries and self-criticism, you might find more balanced, realistic thoughts. You might even start to hear more encouraging, supportive inner dialogue. By combining this strategy with the awareness, breathing, and mindfulness practices we've already discussed, you're building a powerful toolkit for managing your mind chatter and finding more inner peace. Now that we've explored several strategies for quieting the mind, I want to share a bit about my own journey with mind chatter. I believe that personal stories can be powerful tools for learning and inspiration. So I hope that by sharing my experience, you'll feel encouraged on your own path to a quieter mind. For years, I struggled with an overactive mind. My thoughts were like a never-ending roller coaster, constantly rushing from one worry to the next. I'd lie awake at night, replaying conversations from the day or fretting about future events. During the day, I often felt distracted and overwhelmed, unable to fully focus on my work or enjoy time with friends and family. I remember one particularly stressful period when I was preparing for a big job interview. My mind was in overdrive, constantly churning out worst-case scenarios. What if I freeze up? What if they ask me something I don't know? What if I'm not qualified enough? These thoughts played on repeat, draining my energy and confidence. At first, I tried to fight against these thoughts. I'd tell myself to just stop worrying or think positive. But as you might have experienced yourself, trying to force your mind to be quiet often just makes the chatter louder. My turning point came when I stumbled upon a book about mindfulness. The idea that I could observe my thoughts without getting caught up in them was revolutionary to me. I started with small mindfulness exercises like focusing on my breath for a few minutes each day. I won't lie, it was challenging at first. My mind would wander constantly, and I'd get frustrated with myself. But slowly, with consistent practice, I started to notice changes. I became more aware of my thought patterns. I could catch myself when I started to spiral into worry or self-criticism. One technique that really helped me was the breathing exercise we discussed earlier, the 4-7-8 breath. I started using it whenever I felt overwhelmed, and it became like a reset button for my mind. I remember using it right before that big job interview, and it helped me feel centered and calm. Changing my thought patterns was another game changer. I realized how often I was catastrophizing, always imagining the worst possible outcome. When I started to challenge these thoughts and look for more balanced perspectives, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I also incorporated gratitude into my daily routine. Each night before bed, I'd write down 3 things I was grateful for. This simple practice helped shift my focus from what was wrong to what was right in my life. Now, I want to be clear. My mind didn't suddenly become perfectly quiet and peaceful all the time. I still have moments of worry or overthinking, but the difference is that now I have tools to manage these moments. My mind chatter no longer controls me. Instead, I've learned to work with it. One of the most beautiful changes I've noticed is how much more present I am in my daily life. I can enjoy a meal without my mind racing to the next thing on my to-do list. I can have deeper, more meaningful conversations because I'm truly listening instead of getting lost in my own thoughts. My relationships have improved too. When I'm not constantly preoccupied with my own mental chatter, I'm more available to connect with others. I'm a better listener, a more attentive friend, and a more patient partner. Even my work has benefited. With a quieter mind, I find I'm more creative and productive. I can focus more deeply on tasks, and I'm better at problem solving because my mind isn't cluttered with unnecessary worries. But perhaps the most significant change has been in my overall sense of well-being. There's a peace that comes with knowing you're not at the mercy of your thoughts. Even on challenging days, I have a sense of inner calm that I can return to. I share all of this not to boast, but to offer hope. If you're struggling with an overactive mind, know that change is possible. It takes time and practice, but the rewards are truly life-changing. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all thoughts or to never worry. It's about changing your relationship with your thoughts so that you're in control, not your mind chatter. It's about finding moments of quiet amidst the noise of daily life. As you continue on your journey to a quieter mind, be patient and kind with yourself. Celebrate small victories. And remember that every time you practice awareness, or take a mindful breath, or challenge a negative thought, you're strengthening your ability to find peace within yourself. Your journey might look different from mine, and that's okay. We're all unique, and what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to keep exploring, keep practicing, and trust in your ability to grow and change. In our next section, we'll look at some practical tips you can incorporate into your daily life to help reduce mind chatter. These are simple habits and practices that, when done consistently, can make a big difference in your mental landscape. So let's dive in and discover how you can create a life that supports a quieter, more peaceful mind. Practical tips for daily life. Creating habits for a quieter mind. Now that we've explored the core strategies for quieting the mind, and I've shared my personal journey, let's dive into some practical tips you can incorporate into your daily life. These are simple habits and practices that, when done consistently, can make a significant difference in reducing mind chatter and promoting a sense of inner calm. How you begin your day can set the tone for your mental state. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone or jumping out of bed in a rush, try starting your day with a few minutes of mindfulness. Here's a simple morning routine you can try. When you first wake up, take a few deep breaths and notice how your body feels. Set an intention for the day. It could be something simple like, today, I choose to be patient with myself and others. Spend 5 to 10 minutes doing a mindfulness practice. This could be meditation, gentle stretching, or simply sitting quietly and observing your thoughts. Starting your day this way can help you feel more centered and less reactive to the inevitable stresses that come up throughout the day. Our devices, while useful, can be a major source of mental clutter. The constant notifications, emails, and social media updates can keep our minds in a state of constant stimulation. Try creating some technology-free zones in your life. Make your bedroom a phone-free zone. Use a regular alarm clock instead of your phone. Have set times during the day when you turn off notifications. Try having one technology-free day per week, or even just a few hours. You might be surprised at how much quieter your mind feels when it's not constantly responding to digital stimuli. Our days are full of transitions, from home to work, from one task to another. These transitions can be opportunities for mindfulness. Before you start a new task or enter a new environment, take a moment to take 3 deep breaths. Notice how you're feeling. Set an intention for the next activity. This practice can help prevent your mind from carrying stress or preoccupation from one part of your day to the next. Physical activity can be a powerful way to quiet the mind. When we're focused on our body's movement, it's harder for our thoughts to run wild. You don't need to do intense workouts. Even gentle movement can help. Try taking a short walk during your lunch break, doing some stretches or yoga poses when you wake up or before bed, dancing to your favorite song. Pay attention to how your body feels as you move. This focus on physical sensation can give your mind a break from its chatter. Often, our minds are busy thinking about what we're going to say next instead of truly listening to others. Practicing active listening can not only improve your relationships, but also quiet your mind. When in conversation, give the other person your full attention. Notice when your mind starts to wander and gently bring it back. Try to really understand what the other person is saying before formulating your response. This practice of focused attention can help reduce mind chatter and make your interactions more meaningful. Sometimes we need little reminders throughout our day to come back to the present moment. Try placing visual cues around your environment. Put a small sticker on your computer monitor to remind you to take a deep breath. Keep a small stone or other object on your desk that you can hold when you need to ground yourself. Set a beautiful image as your phone background with a word like breathe or present. These visual cues can serve as little invitations throughout your day to pause and reconnect with the present moment. Writing can be a powerful tool for managing mind chatter. Try keeping a thought journal. At the end of each day, write down any persistent thoughts or worries. Next to each thought, write a more balanced or realistic perspective. Note any patterns you notice in your thinking. This practice can help you externalize your thoughts and gain some distance from them. Over time, you might notice that the act of writing things down helps to quiet your mind. Often, our mind chatter includes a lot of self-criticism. Practicing self-compassion can help create a kinder inner dialogue. When you notice you're being hard on yourself, pause and take a deep breath. Acknowledge that you're having a difficult moment. Ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Offer yourself some words of kindness. Remember, the goal isn't to never have negative thoughts. It's to create a more balanced, compassionate inner world. Rituals can be powerful anchors for our attention, giving our minds something to focus on besides our usual chatter. You might try a morning ritual of making tea or coffee mindfully, paying attention to each step of the process. An evening ritual of lighting a candle and taking a few minutes to reflect on your day. A weekly ritual of taking a nature walk, really noticing the sights, sounds, and smells around you. These rituals can become little oases of calm in your day, helping to reset your mental state. Flow is a state where we're so engrossed in an activity that we lose track of time and self-consciousness. Engaging in activities that promote flow can be a powerful way to quiet the mind. This could be playing a musical instrument, creating art, gardening, solving puzzles, cooking a complex meal. Find activities that challenge you just enough to hold your full attention, but not so much that they cause stress. Remember, the key to all these practices is consistency. You don't need to do all of them every day. Start small, perhaps choosing one or two to incorporate into your routine. As these become habits, you can gradually add more. As we come to the end of our exploration into quieting the mind, it's important to remember that this is a journey, not a destination. The mind, by its very nature, thinks. Our goal isn't to stop all thoughts or to achieve some perfect state of mental silence. Rather, it's to change our relationship with our thoughts, to find moments of peace amidst the inevitable mental activity, and to live more fully in the present moment. Throughout this video, we've explored various strategies and techniques for managing mind chatter. We started with the power of awareness, learning to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. We discovered how simple breathing techniques can calm both our body and mind. We delved into the practice of mindfulness, finding ways to be more present in our daily lives. We learned about changing thought patterns, challenging negative thinking, and cultivating more balanced perspectives. I shared my personal journey, hoping to offer encouragement and show that change is possible. Finally, we explored practical tips for incorporating these practices into our daily lives. As you move forward from here, I encourage you to approach this process with patience and self-compassion. Quieting the mind is a skill, and like any skill, it takes time and practice to develop. There will be days when your mind feels calm and clear, and other days when the mental chatter seems louder than ever. This is all part of the process. Remember, every time you notice your mind wandering and gently bring it back to the present, you're strengthening your ability to manage your thoughts. Every time you take a mindful breath in a stressful moment, you're creating a new habit of calm. Every time you challenge a negative thought pattern, you're reshaping your mental landscape. The benefits of this practice extend far beyond just having fewer thoughts. As your mind becomes quieter, you may find that you're more present in your relationships, more focused in your work, more creative in your pursuits, and more at peace with yourself. You may discover a deeper sense of connection to the world around you and a greater capacity for joy and wonder in everyday moments. But perhaps most importantly, as you learn to quiet your mind, you're reclaiming your power over your inner world. Instead of being at the mercy of every thought that passes through your mind, you're developing the ability to choose which thoughts to engage with and which to let go. As you continue on this journey, I encourage you to be curious and experimental. Try different techniques and see what works best for you. Pay attention to how these practices affect not just your mind, but your emotions, your body, and your overall sense of well-being. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. Millions of people around the world are working on quieting their minds, from beginners just starting out to experienced meditators with decades of practice. Each of us is on our own unique path, but we're all moving towards the same goal, a more peaceful, present, and fulfilling life. So, as you go forward from here, carry with you the techniques and insights we've explored. Use them as tools in your daily life. Share them with others if you find them helpful. And most of all, trust in your own capacity for growth and change. Your mind can become a source of peace and clarity rather than constant chatter. It's a journey worth taking, and it starts with this moment, right here, right now. Take a deep breath, bring your attention to the present, and take the first step towards a quieter mind and a richer, more present life. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. May your journey to a quieter mind be filled with discovery, growth, and moments of profound peace.